everybody. I thought I would pop in with a little demonstration video of how you can relieve shoulder and neck pain if you're suffering at home during lockdown and can't get in to see me for a massage. So these releases that I'm going to show you require either using your fingers, using a tennis ball or mobility ball, and using a pin roller. Now, if you don't have a pin roller and you have a rolling pin, a cooking rolling pin, you can use that as well. But if you are close by Kmart, you can pick up one of these for about $8, and I find them invaluable to loosen off my shoulders. So let's get started. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to release off our neck muscles. Now, generally, there's going to be 3 groups of muscles that are going to be the tightest and cause you the most issues. So let's release off 3 of those, and I'm going to be working on just one side. So first of all, the SCM muscle controls movement through the head, and that muscle runs from underneath the ear all the way down to our collarbone. Often it can feel very ropey and it can sit out. So it is quite noticeable. You're going to use your thumb and your index finger, and you're going to find that muscle. You can either start at the collarbone or you can start up by the ear, but you're just going to start squeezing that muscle. I'll just come a little bit closer so you can see. So you're squeezing that muscle all the way down and all the way up. You're using as much pressure as you like. You want it to feel like it's doing something, but you don't want it to be excruciating. If you find an area that feels tight and feels quite tender, grab hold of it, keep hold of it, and then start turning your head. And loosen off, and then move to the next part. And do that for a few minutes. Now, the next group of muscles that we're going to release is the scalene muscles. Now, there are 3 scalene muscles that run down here and down to the shoulder. So we're going to use our fingers, anchoring that collarbone into place so it doesn't lift. Generally, when we stretch, we tilt over and see how my shoulder naturally lifts. So we're not getting that stretch. So you're going to hold that collarbone down. And now we're going to take this jaw straight up towards the ceiling. And generally try and hold this stretch for around 30 to 60 seconds. Now, our last release that we're going to do through the neck is through the back of the neck, which often gets the tightest, well, it often feels the tightest. So with that, we're going to use our fingers again. I'll get my hair out of the way. Now, if we're working on this side, I'm going to use the opposite hand. Now, I'll talk about what I'm going to do and then I'll turn around and show you. So I'm going to grip my hand in a hook grip, and I'm going to be using the very tip of the fingers here to dig into the muscle, okay? Then once I've found that tight muscle that runs down alongside the spine, alongside the neck, the spine through the neck, I'm going to hook my fingers in there and then I'm going to move around. Okay, so let me turn around and show you. Hooking the fingers, hooking them into the back of the spine there, and really get onto that tight, muscly, meaty kind of part there. Now holding the fingers there, applying as much pressure as you can, and then we're going to start to take the head from side to side. Maintaining that pressure through that tight muscle. Once we've done from side to side, we're going to go forward and back. And again, pressing in as much as you like, making sure that you're pressing into the muscle, you're not pressing onto the spine. And then start looking from side to side, rotating through. And releasing. So that will release all the muscles from the front, side and back of the neck, okay? And already, once you've done that, if you've got tension through the neck and the shoulder, that's all sort of connected, often just releasing those three will already let this shoulder relax down. So let's move on to releasing through the front of the shoulder. Now, often we feel it in the back, but it's often the front of the shoulder that has all these trigger points and tension that's drawing that shoulder out of place and causing all the muscles to tighten up and to feel tender. So let's release off the front of the shoulder using our pin roller. Now you need to find a spot, whether or not it's in the corner of a wall, even just in the door jamb, okay? Somewhere where you can jam this in so it's not going to move around. All right. Now because of, I would usually stand to do this, but because of the video, I'm just going to jam it into the cabinetry here. Now what you want to do is just in the corner of the chest. So you've got your collarbone here, you've got your shoulder here, you've got your chest here. You want to go up to the very corner of that chest, front of shoulder area. We're going to lean into that pin roller and find a tight spot. On most of you, I can assure you there's probably going to be 1 or 2 or 3 tender spots. Once you've found it, you're not just going to stay there pressing on it. We want to start moving that arm around. Now you can move it around however feels okay for you, but try and take that arm in all different directions. Keeping pressure through that pin roller and just using the other hand here to just keep it in place. Now this can be quite painful on a lot of you, okay? So again, you're in charge of how much pressure you apply through that pin roller. You're pushing into it, so you're in charge. Now, I would recommend shifting to each tender spot and working through that area until it feels a little bit less tender. Usually that will take a minute or 2 on each of those tender spots. Once you've done that, you should already feel that shoulder again relaxing a little bit more. Now we're going to move on to the tennis ball or a mobility ball. For most of you, a tennis ball will apply enough pressure. Often if you go straight to the mobility ball, it will be a little bit too much, a little bit too intense. So, firstly, we're going to release off the muscles that are on the outside of the shoulder blade. So, you've got your shoulder blade here, spine here. I'm going to come to the outside, so just behind where the arm connects to the back. Okay? Place the ball into that area, come down onto the floor, and we're just going to tilt over and lean into that ball. And just rock around, finding any tight spots. There's quite a few. Once you've found one, hold it there and again, start moving that arm around. Keeping that pressure into that trigger point, that tight spot. But just start moving that arm all around. Now you might like to choose a few different spots if you've got a few different tender points. And keep on moving around. Once you feel like you've got all the points, Now we're going to work on the muscles that sit between the shoulder blade and the spine. Okay, so you've got your shoulder blade here, your spine in the center. You're going to take the ball and place it between the shoulder blade and the spine. Do not let the ball rest on the spine at any stage. So you want to find that meaty muscle part in between the shoulder blade and the spine. Now I recommend that you start at the bottom of the shoulder blade and work your way up. Okay, so once you've found that spot, holding it there, popping down onto the floor. Now I'll just get this arm out of the way just so that you can see where the ball's at. Now it's up to you how much pressure you place into there. If you want more pressure, you can always tilt the hips up to drive your body weight into that ball. So the ball is there. I'm going to take the arm up and over and do that a few times in that space. You don't need to rush that arm movement. Okay, in actual fact, I often say to people when they're doing this to breathe in as you rise, breathe out as you sink back, breathe in as you rise, breathe out as you bring that arm down. Once you've done that a few times, what you're going to do is shuffle the body down so the ball goes up. Once you've moved up an inch, do all of that again. Now you might find, depending on what kind of tightness you have through the shoulder, that as you work your way up towards the top, it's going to be more and more tight, more and more painful. So just be aware of that. Now, as you get towards the top, most people feel tension right at the top of the shoulder. This is when I do recommend that you actually do lift your hips up to drive that ball into that space so you can get to the very top of the shoulder. And again, moving that all around. Once you've got all the way to the top of the shoulder, you can take the ball out and just lay there, noticing the difference between the sides. Right now, if you have done the neck releases, the front of shoulder, the back of shoulder, and the shoulder blade release, you will find probably laying there you will feel a difference, and that shoulder will feel slack, lower, and more relaxed. So give those a go. If you have any questions, let me know. But those releases will certainly help keeping that shoulder neck area loose until you come and see me at the studio. Until I see you again, stay safe, much love, brightest blessings. Mwah.